In this video we're going to be looking at Copenhagen, and we're playing this one with twos. We're going to start out with 2 transports and 2 riflemen, and we're going to rush Lima and Bravo. Playing with the US against the Europeans. On this particular map the Europeans have airstrikes and force recon, and the US only has electronic warfare. So because they were taking Sierra and Whiskey, we knew that they couldn't be rushing Lima and Bravo. Sometimes there's a fight for Lima and Bravo, but more often than not, this is the way the Europeans like to play the map. So we're going to deploy riflemen and then take Delta and Foxtrot and try to push the enemy into DEFCON as soon as possible and get the clock working down. After you get your people on the field at all the bases, we're going to bring in some armor. That way we can try to wear down anything that comes through the gates towards us. If you were playing from the European side, if you rushed Lima and Bravo and were able to take it pretty easily, and the opposing force was sitting back where I just put that point for the tank to move, that's where I like to keep a transport and a tank. And that kind of keeps anything from flying over, and it kind of keeps them back a little bit. Plus they're in the middle, so they can go to Bravo or Lima if they're needed there. So we've got the clock running. The enemy has crashed Delta. But because there are 6 uplinks, we still have control of the majority, so the clock's going to continue to roll down. Right here, they nuked Bravo, and I could see that they had guys walking in towards Bravo, so I already have my tank over here. Plus, I see he's got a force coming up here. I see tanks rolling in, so I'm calling in some gunships, and I see these guys right here, but because of the stealth, which is a good thing to have on your riflemen, they're not picking them up very easily. They have to basically be rolling all over them. So I've got everything I can on number 8 right now, and now I've got to try to keep these tanks out of the way too. And right here I made a mistake because I WMD'd 7 thinking that 7 was right beside the tanks. I didn't get a good view. I was just going by what I thought, and I ended up being wrong. I only got 1 transport. Even if I would have got all 3, it still would have been a mistake. There was no men trying to take the base, and if you've watched my other videos, you know I try to tell you, use the WMD for defensive purposes. And to be quite honest, I just got a little cocky right here. The clock's moving down. It's 2 minutes. I didn't even realize there was a guy over at Lima, and you know, I thought we had this one in the bag. So it's going to turn out that they're going to be able to take Lima, push us into defeat mode, and now we're going to have to struggle our way back. And none of this would have even happened if I would have just followed my own rule, which is save the WMD for defensive purposes. Another thing is their artillery. We were just leaving it out there, and we weren't worried too much about it because, like I said, we thought that we had it pretty well under control. So what I've got is I got the guys from Delta moving up to Lima. I'm going to try to take that back, and I'm going to go back here and try to take care of this artillery, which is uncovered, and see if I can at least work these 2 down, because they're a thorn in the side, just sitting there pounding you. Right here I got lucky by being able to at least take down Lima. Transports messed up and couldn't get a shot on me, so they had to follow around the base to try to get me. Got that one artillery piece down, working on the other. As you see, I'm going to save up for a deep strike right here. I was using my chopper right here to look at Sierra and to check out Whiskey, and we saw that they had walked men up from both of their uplinks to try to take ours. So the men that were in Lima and Bravo, those were the guys that had taken Sierra and Whiskey. So they had left Sierra and Whiskey wide open, so we were able to deep strike and take them out. It's always a good rule to keep guys at your bases once you take them, just to keep the deep strike from happening. Because if you deep strike and somebody's at a base, you're at a disadvantage big time. And we're already at a disadvantage because, you know, we just switched over to the U.S. side, so we're playing with a lot of recruit units. But we got this timer to stop on their side, so now we just have to bring our side back up, get the victory clock back moving, because we don't like a whole lot to secure the victory. So what these guys did was they attempted to bring in a force on the right hand side and a force on the left hand side right behind it. It was like 2 tanks and a transport on one side, and I believe it was about the same force on the other. So their plan wasn't a bad plan, and it was a hard fought match. I mean, we had to work our butts off in order to get this victory right here. He had just went and secured Lima, so I knew Bravo was wide open, so then I continued to deep strike Bravo. And a lot of times when the game's coming down to the wire, sometimes this is what you have to resort to, is just hopscotching around to the bases and just deep striking bases that you know are empty, especially when you've already got the counter headed down as much as we have. We just wanted to capture as many as we could just to get the clock to keep on working, so eventually we could secure the win. And another mistake that these guys did was they started focusing so much on trying to kill our units off that they weren't focused so much on trying to win the game. And I believe if it wasn't for that, we would have had an even tougher time trying to win this map. But you know, I'll lose a few recruits any day. I'll lose a few legendary units to get the win, because that's all I'm concerned about. That's what you should be concerned about when you're playing. Is trying to win the game, because my units will build back up, but that loss stays on your record forever.
They're getting rattled.
They're slaughtering us!
Mission accomplished. This one's in the bag. That's what happens when you take siestas.
Bullshit, transport and shit. Let me see how many units I killed of you guys. That's all I care about. 6 units.
Yeah, fuck them.
God
Yeah,
damn, that's all I give a fuck about.
Yeah, let's do the pilot now. Fucking this.
6
who
fucking
cares?
pilots.
Recruits anyway.
Yeah, they were only flukes anyways. They were only flukes anyways. They were only flukes. The fuck out of here.
Yeah, they always recruits, huh? They always fucking recruits, you bitch.
Always
Left
recruits.
ESDC, dumbasses. Yeah, they probably left because yeah. God, I love when people talk shit when they lose. And then how are you gonna be EFEC and complain about us using transports when that's what your whole strategy needs to be when you're on the European side? That is hilarious.